All my life, my mother told me a storm was coming. Judgment Day, the beginning of a war between man and machines. Okay, now, of course, my mom didn't ever actually tell me this, since this is a quote from John Connor, character from Terminator 3. But I did receive a lot of warnings from my parents about the dangers of technology. Not in the physically fighting off machine that threatens your species sort of warning, but more so the advice that most other teenagers get from parents and teachers in their lives. Do not spend too much time on your devices. And this warning always made me wonder, why is it that so much of technology nowadays, especially artificial intelligence, is something people are afraid about, yet has also been a gateway to astonishing events such as the researching of diseases, advancement of knowledge, and innovations that we may have never even imagined before. Before I get too much into this, let me first tell you a bit about my background. I was born a refugee in Thailand, although me and my family are Burmese. If you are not aware, Thailand is a country in Asia where around half of the population lives in rural conditions. So, to my family, the idea of having a computer connected to a World Wide Web of virtual information was truly beyond us. When we immigrated to America, however, our lives changed drastically, as our access to technology made it much easier for my parents to get better employment, and for me, a better education. And with this education, I became more interested in technology itself. As you might have guessed, I'm a huge fan of sci-fi, whether it be books, movies, TV series. And with these interests came my hobbies, such as robotics and programming. However, my answer to what do you want to be when you grow up wasn't always consistent. As a kid, I wanted to become an astronaut. Chasing the stars and finding potential life beyond this planet sounded pretty fascinating. I also considered being an architect, as I found that designing things and building them from the ground up sounded pretty fascinating. But that was until I discovered about computer science, though, and I felt that really clicked for me. It consisted of both exploring and building technology, and I felt that really combined both of my earlier prospects in life. However, I felt that the bigger reason that I wanted to go into computer science is because of what's happening in our generation of technology. So, as an honest representative of Gen Z, I'll admit I personally wasted hours scrolling to YouTube to ultimately just feel like I wasted my time and felt dissatisfied because I know I could have used that time for my actual hobbies and for studying. However, I felt that this makes sense as many social media platforms nowadays use AI to help monitor the platform and curate content that their users are most likely to enjoy, thus encouraging them to spend more time on the platform. However, this often leads to an excessive amount of scrolling to the web and ultimately draining our mental health in the process. And this is especially seen with the National Library of Medicine, which found that 75% of papers found an association between increased use of social media and depression. Now, don't get me wrong, I completely understand that it's difficult, especially for us in Gen Z, to break away from phones. In fact, in an interview that I did with some of my friends, I found that all of them said that the probability that phone usage will decrease in the next few years is extremely unlikely. Therefore, I've done my own efforts to try and use that spare time on my phone in order to learn about recent updates in technology, as well as world news so that I can prepare for future events. So, as a tech supporter, I've not only been interested in how social media affects us through AI, but also how large language models like ChatGPT, Google Bard, as well as Bing AI function as well. In my school, I've overheard countless teachers discuss the concerns of AI, especially in use of plagiarism, in which many students can automatically load and submit an assignment within just a few clicks of a button. And this, of course, leads to less overall creativity amongst our youth, because it leads to less incentive for students to actually study and work hard in school. However, I don't think it is AI that we should directly blame, but rather how we are utilizing it. So, can I just get a raise of hands on who has heard of Quizlet? So, if you haven't, Quizlet is basically a studying app which includes many different memorization techniques for varieties of different topics. And so, akin to this is QChat, which, if you haven't heard of, is a chatbot feature on AI on Quizlet, kind of similar to ChatGPT in the sense that it creates a conversational way of learning with the individual user. And so it is through these that many apps drew this, that many students can use these apps in order to save our lives when it comes to studying for exams. And this is especially shared with a survey found by the PR Newswire, which found that 73% of students found that studying was made much more effective through these methods. And this is due to personalized tutoring, notes that can easily be digestible, as well as even custom songs that students can listen to in order to help their memorization. And so I want you to consider this. Consider the AI helping you to consider curiosity in whatever projects that you might have, and to help you study for the things that you are passionate about. And even if you are not aware of what you might go into yet, better yet, consider classes pertaining to computers so that you become more tech-savvy and adaptable to these future advancements in AI. Okay, now, of course, I don't have a PhD in computer science, nor do I want to pretend to have one while I'm up here. Well, you see, that's exactly the point that I want to make, is that you don't have to be a tech expert to realize that AI is affecting your lives already. Whether it be through social media or studying, this effect is worldwide. And the message I'm trying to bring across with the examples is that with each and every issue that AI may bring across, it's an opportunity to address it with a solution. And so, going back to the idea of my family immigrating to America, I've sort of felt a sense of deja vu. I've recognized that the large influx of technology into my family's lives is quite similar to this influx of artificial intelligence into our generation's lives. So, speaking about my parents, let me tell you about my mom and my dad. I am blessed to be the son, and forever thankful to them. They have given up so much, their home, their peace, their finances, their own homeland to give me the best possible future that they would have never even imagined for. However, when I look at my own future, I'll admit I get intimidated at times. However, it's with this fear that I begin to understand how my parents felt. They had concern over my home, my education, my future. But despite that, they still worked diligently in order to give me the best possible future so that I could return the favor. And I know that this is sort of view that we need to have on AI as well, as we have to work diligently in order to raise our awareness of AI and put rail guards on it in order to better let it bring the favor back to us, especially if you are concerned about it. And so, below the surface of all the phone usage, below all the shortcuts that people might plan to take with AI, I know that there is something that this generation really needs, and that is a passion for exploring the world. Artificial intelligence, just like the World Wide Web, is truly a portal to establishing a better understanding of the world around us. Despite this, the reason why I included only a total of 2 online statistics in this entire talk was because I didn't want this to just be a research paper. This is because, despite all the discussion on AI today, AI is meant to be a means to an end, not the end. AI is not the number one solution. Rather, it is you in the audience. You are the solution, and you have control. So while you can, start using those AI tools I mentioned in order to educate yourself on how AI might be utilized in your personal future. Because even if you're not going into computer science or machine learning, you can't deny that AI won't be at least some aspect of most future careers. And while it may seem a stretch, especially for your teenagers, is that you have control over this thing we call AI. I felt the same way, and I feel exactly the same way up here. But you see, I want to give this talk because I have a vision for this world, a vision where AI and humans can coexist without sabotaging each other. And whether that vision will come true or not has yet to be determined. But that's exactly the point that I want to make, is that we are at the time that our collective actions will dictate whether or not AI will be a benefactor in our lives or just another burden. And so the question that I want you to leave off with considering tonight is this: what do you truly want to learn about? Curiosity is an essential part of how we as humans grow above and beyond, and AI is a reflection of that human aspect. It is through this consideration that we can come to understand AI, grow with it, and thus shape it into an effective tool for bringing together humanity instead of a separative weapon amongst us and future generations.